Welcome to QI, where tonight we are turning positively negative in the not, nearly, nearly not, neither and no show. So let's meet our naysayers, the never knowingly under-funny Giles Brandreth. And the nearly perfect Jimmy Carr. Not half bad, Victoria Coren Mitchell. And no. Yes, it's Alan Davis. And why not hear their buzzers? Jimmy goes. Victoria goes. And Giles goes. You look like the games teacher at a school's disco. And Alan goes.
No, 1,000 times no. I'd rather die than say yes.
It was best, actually. I thought that was very nice. And so to the first question, and it's important you don't listen uncarefully to this one. Alan, don't you not want some points or not? Charles is
well,
writing it down.
that's very difficult to say yes or no.
What do you reckon?
There's 3 negatives.
Yes. Don't you not want some points or not? Do you not want some...
Do you not want some points?
Or not?
Or... Do you not...
Do you not?
Well, we also don't know whether he does or not.
Yes.
Don't you not want some
points or not?
Or not?
Do you not want points?
So here's the thing.
It's true to say that I do not want points.
Yes. So or not would mean that you do...
You'd say, do you want points or not?
No, yes, but...
So the answer is... Well, there's 2 questions.
No, it's just one question with one answer, but I just tell you now, one answer has a klaxon and one doesn't. There. I think I'm giving too much away here.
Can we help
The
him?
show's nearly over. I'm filibustering.
Just.
Sometimes with these really taxing questions, the thing to do is to translate them into another language.
OK.
Because that makes it simpler.
Oh, right.
Because, as we know, you asked the question in English.
I did, yes.
English, there are 500,000 words in the Oxford English Dictionary. It is the largest language in the world.
Well, there's more than 1 million now, in fact.
Well, indeed, including all the words you've introduced since the series began.
Perfectly true.
In my edition, 500,000 words. The German language only has about 150,000 words. The French have fewer than 100,000 words, OK? Including Le Weekend.
1,000 times no.
Oh, yes. Have you thought about it?
Yes.
Yes is the right answer.
The right answer.
Oh.
It's not a yes-no question.
No, that's what I thought.
Well, but fundamentally, yes is better than no, is where we were heading.
In your
Although
maybe.
I was enjoying Giles's...
But curiously, the answer would have been different.
I didn't mean I'd come back to it.
No.
I wasn't enjoying it that much.
But interestingly, the answer in French would have been yes. Oh, no.
In French, you could have said, I don't know, which is je ne sais pas, which is a double negative. Or...
But if you translated, what did you originally say?
Is it too early to lose the will to live?
I'm extremely concerned, Sandy, that you, a role model for women everywhere, should, in fleshing out the double negative, come out with a statement broadly, yes is better than no. That's not what I'll be telling my daughter.
in pop, aren't there? A lot of these in pop and rock lyrics.
Yes.
There's lots of I can't get no satisfaction.
Yes, there is. And if it's a positive double negative, like Tom Jones's It's Not Unusual, that's fine, OK? Because basically...
Why is that fine?
Well, it never used to be a problem, the double negative. And then in the 18th century, they became obsessed with mathematics, and it's to do with mathematics.
Oh.
So they began to codify the language as being illogical if it didn't fit with mathematical thinking. So in mathematics, minus a minus is a plus.
Oh, do this in Danish.
OK. Yeah. Så de tænkte mange år siden, at... I can do it. No, I won't do it now.
If you do that, I think I've had a stroke.
No.
I always just think there's a body being found as soon as I...
You can almost feel the wind on the bridge.
I tell you what, it's a hell of a contortion if you can feel wind on your bridge.
Trying to think what position you'd have to be in.
I don't know, but I'm going to try and sketch it.
You can pass it along when you've done. Anybody know the difference between no and nay?
Is it like the French no and si, where si is yes if somebody's expecting the answer no?
Yeah, you're exactly right. It's to do with the type of question that you get. So there used to be, in early modern English, so we're talking sort of late 15th to late 17th century, 2 affirmatives, yes and yay, and 2 negatives, which were no and nay. And so subtle, the rules, that even the people at the time thought, I have no idea how this works. But basically, yes and no were responses to questions posed in the negative. So, will he not go? The answer is yes, he will, or no, he will not. But if you positively frame a question, will he go? The answer is yay, he will, or nay, he will not.
Are you allowed to say nay without saying sirrah?
Or indeed prefacing it with hey, nonny. No.
Yes. I'll be docking points from anybody who gets it wrong from now on. Is that clear?
Yes, but not entirely. Is
Yes
that
and
correct?
no.
Yay.
Yay.
It was positively phrased, so the answer, in fact, Victoria's entirely right, is yay is the answer.
It's yay is the answer?
Yes.
So, yay is the equivalent of yes, but nay is not the equivalent of no. That's what we've learned.
No.
So, yay is yes if the answer yes is expected.
Yay and nay are for positively framed questions, and yes and no... I'm losing. Honestly, I can't...
What we've learned is nothing. You weren't really paying attention, that was the problem.
No, exactly.
But what I can tell you is that there's really nothing wrong with double negatives. Only arbitrary pedants believe there isn't not. Now it's time for my favourite subject in all the world. Not. It's sport.
Yay, sport.
Yay, sport. OK.
Yay.
Why is the person on the right such a loser?
Oh, isn't this interesting?
I don't know yet.
No. Just because he's not got any badges and ribbons on, he's obviously been in a court-martial, he's had them stripped off him, that's why he's the loser.
You are in the right area.
Is he standing in for someone?
Well,
Is it a centaur? Is he half man, half horse? It's actually the other guy's riding a horse and he's actually the horse and those are fake legs.
That's my favourite. No. So he's a sort of nearly man.
He's an understudy.
I don't think we can call them that anymore.
The idea, Jimmy, that you would teach me to be politically correct is just...
I'm so sorry.
You're so fantastic. I've started a new thing on the show, which is my Random Scandinavian, and this is my Randy Scandi, this guy. He took part in the 1948 Olympics. His name is Sergeant Geknal Persson. And he was in the Swedish equestrian team, and they easily won gold in the dressage, and then they were stripped of the medal because the French, who came second, noticed that he was wearing a sergeant's cap. So you were in the right area, absolutely, Giles. In those days, Olympic equestrianism was open only to officers and gentlemen. It was an amateur sport. And other ranks were considered to be professional. So what had happened, he'd been given a bogus promotion to being a lieutenant just for the games, but he forgot to change his hat. But it's a happy ending. The gentleman rule was changed, and he went on to win gold at the next 2 Olympics, just as a sergeant, and he didn't have to be a lieutenant. So here's the thing that I think. OK, I would like to see the amateur ethos brought back to sport. What do you think about
100%.
that?
The amateur thing with sport is... I mean, they've ruined it now, haven't they? They've ruined the Olympics.
Well, I think...
You can't have Eddie the Eagle or Eric the Eel or any of those kind of the fun ones that
Can I
get...
say, drugs are the making of the Olympics. You know, It's an exciting idea. Who can go faster and faster and faster?
They maybe need 2 games. You need a clean one, and
Yeah,
you need
exactly.
a drug addict.
And what would people watch most?
Lance Armstrong made a very interesting point in that documentary they made about him. He basically said, yes, I was on drugs. So was everyone else. I was the best on drugs.
Yeah.
I also think that the drugs should be more interesting. Does anybody know what the very first ever substance abuse case in the Olympics dealt with? It was a very high-class affair. Very first person banned for substance abuse.
Sherry.
You're very close.
Was it
yes.
absinthe?
No.
Oh, sorry, I wasn't answering. I was just hoping someone
You
would
wanted
bring
to
up...
Was it an animal that was doped?
No, it's a
human.
fantastic American swimmer called Eleanor Holm. She was suspended from the American Olympic swimming team in 1936 for drinking too much champagne.
No.
Now,
How much champagne is too much champagne? That's all
Exactly.
relative.
I
You
think
wouldn't
it's...
think it would particularly improve her performance?
I mean, she was happy. You've really got to go backwards and forwards with swimming. You've got to keep yourself busy.
Bubbles could have helped, keeping it up, afloat.
The first time I went dog racing, I went with a friend of mine, and he was betting the second favourite. He said it's always good to back the second favourite, because often someone slipped the favourite a pie.
I can't run. I can't have more.
That was delicious, though.
That's how you nobble a dog race. You slip a meat pie to the dog, and then it eats it. I mean, you can imagine it doesn't run so fast.
That would probably work on this show. Do you not think?
There's the time I've been slipped a pie, Sandy.
So, from a nearly man to the world's biggest nobody, what did these guys do when they realised their cocks was too big?
I presume they threw him overboard.
Kind of. It's a really sweet story, this. So we all know what the Cox does.
The cox
They
tells
steers the boat.
Steers the boat, yes, from
stops them from rowing into things.
coxswain, they're literally a boat servant.
Also sort of shouts row, which
Shouts
doesn't
row,
seem
yeah.
necessary in any other sport.
They made him swim.
No one in the 100 metres has got a guy on the side going left, right, left, right.
This boy is the cox.
He became the Cox. He was the replacement. This is... First of all, I love these outfits. Can I just say, if every
Yes,
sport
it's
wore
unusual
these...
in your underpants.
I think they're sweet. They look gorgeous.
Anatomically correct.
Not necessarily.
This is the Dutch coxed pair from the 1900 Olympics. So what happened was they got through to the final and they had an overweight cox called Hermanus Brockman, and they thought it was going to cost them the gold. So they had noticed that the French crews were using children as coxes, and so they decided to get one of their own, and they plucked one from a crowd, this boy. He'd already been discarded, actually, by the French as being too heavy. He's between 7 and 10 years old. Nobody knows his name, but with him coxing, they won the gold, and then he vanished back into the crowd. He is an Olympic gold medalist, and nobody knows his name. Isn't it the sweetest story?
Also, the idea that he was telling his friends, yeah, I went and I saw the rowing, it was amazing. Where did you sit? I had a great seat. Yeah, it's in the boat.
He's the only anonymous gold winner ever in the Olympics. The medal was given to the overweight cox who didn't actually row. Hermanus Brockman, he got the gold medal.
Oh, and he was disappointed that it wasn't made of chocolate.
I think that's the main disappointment of all gold medal winners in the Olympics. Oh, seriously? Yes, indeed, they sacked their cox and got a lad in to do his job. And now for something that's not quite the full shilling. So, I have got 3 bottles of wine. I've got a very nicely aged Chateau Brandreth. There we are. I'll pass that down there. I've got this is rather lovely, Jimmy Carr Valley White, fruity and fresh. I've just passed that in very excellent with cheese. And this one...
What are you saying about Jimmy's material?
Cheesy and fruity. Oh, fair enough.
This one goes down very well, I hear. It's a 1966 Alan Davis Piteous wine. There we go. So, Victoria, so you know nothing about these wines. Let us imagine that you care for all wines in rather similar manner.
I can make that leap of the imagination.
Thank you very much. Which one would you purchase based on the price?
On those prices, I mean, all of them. I'd still get change.
People have wine stoppers. What's the point of that?
What are they for? What are they for?
What are they for?
If you mean genuinely,
Yes,
what would I do?
genuinely, if you had to-
I'm not a wine snob. If I didn't know anything about them, I'd buy the cheapest one.
Would you? You'd buy the one at £5.50?
Yeah, why not? But I don't know that the extra 50 pence
I
will
was
get me.
told by someone who knows about wine that you should consider the duty on the wine.
Oh, right.
So if the duty says £4 at a bottle and a bottle is £5, you're really paying for a £1 bottle of wine.
Wow.
But if it's £6, you're paying for a £2 bottle of wine, so it's therefore twice as good. So even though it's only £1 more. And I've followed that advice ever since.
Was that man... So this guy buying £1 bottle of wine, was he outside a shop at the time? Was he in the park drinking, perchance?
he was already drunk.
Anybody else? What would you go for, Jimmy?
Second cheapest, always.
So you'd go for the $5.99?
Well, yeah, well, you know...
In restaurants, people never choose the cheapest one. They don't feel they can afford the most expensive, because that's usually about £600. So they go for the one above the cheapest, which would be the $5.99.
And then once you've had one bottle, just...
But also,
Who cares?
is there not a psychological... There's only a penny difference, you see. Is there not a psychological advantage?
It is. This is the thing. It's called psychological pricing, and most people, it's also known as charm pricing or magical pricing, pretty pricing. Most people would go for the $5.99. They wouldn't be so cheap, Victoria. They'd go for the $5.99, and there seems to be a sort of subconscious thing that we prefer precise prices to round ones. That seems to be a thing. And also, it's called a left-digit anchor effect. So the $5.99, it's still in the £5 bracket. It's not quite in the £6 bracket, and therefore we seem more likely.
We're still falling for this, people.
I know.
Isn't there a theory on this that it started because they wanted to make sure that they weren't being ripped off by their vendors? If you've got to give them a penny change, it has to go through the till.
Yeah, there was a theory about that, but there are experiments that suggest that you do better to price products at £5.99 than at £5.50 because the 99 feels like a reduction.
It is odd that £6 1p sounds a lot more than £5.99. It sounds about 40
Yes,
quid
it does,
more.
doesn't it?
But also, what a bore to have 99p and change. That's the reason for not
Well,
getting it.
the official monster-raving loony party in this country has proposed creation of a 99p coin to save change.
That's a very good idea.
Is this genuinely wine, or have they filled the bottle with water?
I haven't opened it to check. Why don't you unscrew it and see?
This is wine.
This is wine.
It's Beaujolais. Have we got any glasses?
Do you think you've overpaid for that, or was that all right?
I think that's all right.
That's
You see,
not
I think
too
I've done
shabby.
well with the cheapest one.
Take it
You
back
should,
now.
I think in restaurants you should always order the house wine because if they should...
Oh, do you know what? Not terrible.
No, and weirdly, the next subject that I've got coming up is the bacteria in people's mouths. You should always order the house wine, because a
Why is
restaurant
that?
ought to stand by its house wine. If the house wine is not good, then the food is not going to be good.
And also, they buy so much of it, they can get it at a better
Yeah,
price.
so that is a...
So buy the house wine at 99 rather than...
Well, it depends how expensive it is. So a prestige good, a luxury good, like, say, for example... Do you like handbags? Do you like luxury handbags?
Of course, yes.
People are more likely to pay £900 for a luxury handbag than £899.99 because you don't want it to be affordable. That's not the point.
I don't understand about handbags.
OK.
And I'm not really a proper girl, as I try to...
And Jimmy's fine with that.
A handbag is essential.
Do you carry a man bag?
I don't carry a handbag, but I discovered a handbag was essential when I wrote a book about the Queen. And the Queen always has a handbag on over her arm. And when she moves her handbag from one wrist to the other wrist, that is the cue for the equerry in waiting to move you on.
Oh.
So when you're next, Sandy, chatting with Her Majesty and thinking it's going rather well, doing some of your amusing Danish stuff... tactful,
She can't get enough of it.
She can't. She can't. Her husband is a Dane. She loves all that. She loves the Nordics. She loves all that.
Philip?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
He's Greek.
No. That's just a cover.
He's quite mad, you know.
No.
I had lunch with Her Majesty and she appeared to have nothing but dog biscuits in the bag.
Yeah. Well, but anyway, that is the trick. So just watch out when she moves the bag from one wrist to the other. You know it's your time to slip away.
Move along.
Move along.
In The Meaning of Life, which is a fabulous book, a Kibblesworth, which is a village in Tyne where is defined as the footling amount of money by which a price is less than a sensible number, which I like. Should we put the bottles away? What do you think? Do you want me to give me yours?
I am putting it away.
No, give me yours.
Keep it safe.
So, I got 99 problems, but the pence ain't one. Now... that's for the younger people. Here is a not unknotty poser for you to consider. What's a really unfortunate name to have on the internet?
I was thinking that one of, like, there's a Pen Island that has a website.
Oh, yes.
Is that right?
Which doesn't look great.
No.
Pen Island.
OK.
There's actually a company that I've worked for called Bound and Gagged Comedy, and if you type in Bound and Gagged...
I found that I once Googled big cart horse, and my word. Take your eye out.
For what legitimate reason were you Googling big cart horse?
I get lonely. Anyway, there are all sorts of names that don't work. So there's a man called Christopher Null, who is from Texas, and he finds that computers regularly reject anything because null, in lots of programming languages, basically means this space is intentionally left blank. Now, here's the good thing. Mr. Null is a prominent tech journalist, as I think you can tell by his thrusting photograph. And the easiest thing, apparently, is to put a full stop after the name is the best way. There are all sorts of names like that just don't... Computers go, and I don't know.
Oh, I see, because it's as in null and void. So you type in null and nothing appears.
Yes, because...
So he's the invisible man. That's what he looks like.
Yes, that is what he looks like. But he's not on his own. There have been hundreds of people in China who've had to change their names because the computer codes don't exist and they don't have a Chinese sign for it, and therefore they don't exist, so they've had to change their name. Otherwise, they can't apply for a driving licence or whatever.
And what are these people called?
I don't know the names of all of them because there are several hundred of them.
There are a lot of Chinese people, that is a matter of fact.
Yeah. There was a British feminist called Margaret Sandra, and in 1979 she dropped her surname because she got very irritated. She went to buy a tumble dryer, and she wasn't allowed to buy it unless her husband signed the form. Oh. So she became enraged, and she doesn't have a surname. But the result is, if you
Wet
don't...
clothes.
Yes. Wet clothes. If you don't have a surname on a computer, you can't easily claim benefits, or you can't book online, or you can't... There are all sorts of things you can't do.
So you know, poor Bono and Cher must be in all kinds of...
It's been hell.
Poor things.
Yeah, just being them,
They've
actually.
got no white goods at all.
Poor Sting can't get a driver's licence.
They're down there at the water's edge, bashing their clothes on rocks. I can't get a washing machine.
This makes me feel...
The edge is no help.
My favourite story about getting names wrong, there was a British student called Adam Armstrong, and he had his Ryanair seat accidentally booked in the wrong name. So the airline was going to charge him £220 administration fee to correct this error, and he didn't want to pay the money, so he changed his name by deed poll, which is free, OK, and got a new passport for £103. Way cheaper. Instead of paying Ryanair for a clerical error, change your name. There's a lesson there. I have no idea what it is. And now, for a total non-event, who's the best person to invite to a don't-come party?
Oh.
Yes.
A don't-come party?
It's an actual thing that it's used now by charities.
Ah, I think I know what it is then.
Yes.
It is where, in order to raise money, they say, if you give us £1,000, we will not hold this occasion. You don't, therefore, need to spend money on having your hair done, buying a new frock, hiring a car, taking part in the raffle, buying a balloon, getting the drugs behind the fountain over there. None of these things need to happen. It's a cheap evening.
Behind the fountain.
What, does this come out of people going, I would pay not to go to that event?
Yeah.
Yes. So people who want to stay home, I would pay not to hear Giles's after-dinner speech. I'm not saying... And you can make the thing sound as extravagant and glamorous as you like, and then don't have it. So you say it's at a fantastically expensive hotel and there's going to be champagne, but don't come. And then you get more money because people don't want to go anyway. So a never event is different, OK? Do you know what that is?
Is that an event that was never going to happen?
No, it's the official name used by hospital administrators to describe errors that are wholly avoidable. So should never occur. Like, I should think of meat cleaver on a patient would be...
Well, before we rush to judgment, we don't know what's the matter with him.
No.
That might be necessary.
Yeah.
But, curiously, these never events do occur. I was hosting the British Funeral Directors Awards recently.
We've got to get you a new engine, dude.
It was quite quiet, initially. It took
I hope you're
place
open with that.
At the end of the day, they'd had their trade show in the same venue, and so around the edges of the room there were coffins, caskets, people looking not unlike this fellow, sort of sitting up in them.
Were you picking a new home? Sorry, because he's old and he'll be dead soon. I'm sorry if I was...
Can I tell you something, Jimmy? This is... I don't think you realise how this is getting to me, because this morning, this very morning, I received a letter through the post inviting me to be the new face of the Stanner Stairlift. The worst thing about this is...
We're in a banquet, Charles.
The worst thing about this is my wife said, I think we should consider this. I have then... This is a true story. This is a true story. I have then phoned them up. And I said, have you thought of Nigel Havers? It turned out they had. I was about 17th on the list. I'm afraid this is not the first invitation of its kind I've received. Because I also... This is maybe how they got hold of my name. I was considered for being the new figure stretched out on the floor, reaching for the alarm.
I hope I've fallen and I can't get up.
Yeah, that one. But June Whitfield has got that gig at the moment. But I have had this brilliant idea, which I've now begun to discuss with them. Because my problem is that I go upstairs and I can't remember why I've gone upstairs.
Yes.
So, my idea is this. I attach to the arm of the stairlift an old-fashioned tape recorder. I sit in the chair, I press the two buttons, I tell myself why I am going upstairs.
It's like the worst Beckett play ever.
The tape, years later, it handed down the generation with all the reasons why Uncle Giles went up the stairs for 10 years. For a shift.
Never events you may not wish to attend include Charles Brandreth addressing funeral directors. These are both improbable pictures of George I. So what on earth happened here?
Oh, he had his wig made into a moustache.
I'll give you a clue, they're separate George I's.
The one on the left is Matt Lucas. I'm pretty sure that's Matt
They all
Lucas.
just look like Samuel Pepys, everyone in a wig like that.
So those wigs, there's a thing.
Yeah.
Well, I can tell you, George I of Britain on the left.
Yes, because he's dressed up like... He was German, of course.
He was German. In fact, he only spoke German when he first became king.
Yeah, yes.
Don't have to do it in German. It's perfectly fine to...
How did he become king?
Well, that is the extraordinary thing, because there were 51 candidates to become the next king. Why did they choose George? All of them were ahead of him, were closer in line to the throne.
Because we like a German.
Because the others were all Catholics.
Ah, of course.
He was the only Protestant, and the Act was designed to ensure that Protestants came to the throne.
The Act of Settlement.
Yeah.
Must have been like an upset on the X Factor.
Yes, yes,
When the
it was
outsider
exactly
comes
like
in.
that.
Start kicking Catholics off the X Factor, that'll stir up the rating. We're going back to the old rules.
Yes. So the other George I, also another king who took office against the odds, he's my random...
Is he going to be Danish?
He's a Randy Scandi. He
yes.
is a Randy Scandi. He was Prince William of Denmark, and he became King of Greece.
Yeah, that's... Excuse me.
Yes.
He's
Almost. You may recall that I mentioned earlier, and there was sort of ribald laughter, that the Duke of Edinburgh was Danish.
Yes.
The Duke of Edinburgh is Danish because he is a direct descendant of this man.
OK, fair enough.
And...
So, surprisingly, the end of the Greek War of Independence, so 1829... Greece was in chaos. Imagine such a thing.
Greece in
I
chaos?
know. It's extraordinary...
What now with who now?
thing, I know. They had this guy called King Otto, and he was hopeless, and they didn't like him, so he was overthrown, and they had a referendum to decide his successor. And there was Prince William of Denmark and Prince Alfred, who was the second son of Queen Victoria. There were 240,000 votes counted, and Prince William got 6, OK? The Greeks voted 95% of them that they wanted the British Prince Alfred. But there was a treaty that banned British royals from taking the Greek throne, so Prince William got it. He got it with 6 votes. Yes.
Oh.
That's democracy and royalty working together.
They did try a lot of other royals as well before they came down to these final two to put in the mix.
They did, and what I like is there were 93 votes in the referendum for a republic and 1 to bring back King Otto. So we have no idea who that was.
And they
I think
took
it might have been Otto.
Otto's loyal butler.
So, anyway, your chances of ascending the throne may be better than you thought. And here's another coronation that was not without its controversies. Have a careful look at this and tell me what's not right. First of all, do we know which coronation it is?
Yeah, well, it's Queen Victoria.
So did anybody know what went wrong?
They crowned the wrong woman. A lady called Karen was crowned. She ruled for 80 years.
In a way, it's almost what happened. It's 5 hours it was. So, first of all, the Archbishop of Canterbury forced the coronation ring onto the wrong finger. It caused her severe pain, and they couldn't get it off afterwards. And 3 years later, he did exactly the same thing at her wedding. He was just not ring-savvy, the Archbishop of Canterbury. Then the Bishop of Bath and Wells accidentally turned over 2 pages in the service book, and he cut out the whole section where they made her queen.
What do you mean that's the whole section? That's surely the whole coronation, isn't it?
So
the bit where they make her
coronation
queen.
was invalid, and in fact she had left the Abbey before they realised, and she had to come back and do it again. I love that. They had to do a retake. And then, as the lords were being presented to her, the elderly, rather aptly named Lord Roll became globally famous for tripping over on the steps leading to the throne and rolling all the way down. Oh. But apparently she didn't endear herself to the public until that moment, and when Lord Roll fell down the stairs, she got up and tried to help him, and then after that they thought, oh, she's...
Because she was very young, wasn't she?
She was a teenager. I mean, it must have been an unbelievable thing. Now, here's a substance you may be not unfamiliar with, even if you don't think you're not. What might you use Nobel's...
This whole episode's giving me a headache.
What might you use Nobel's safety powder for? Yes!
Is that not the original name for dynamite?
It is absolutely right. It's the original name for dynamite. You're absolutely right.
He was the one that made it kind of safe.
Well, it was safer than the alternative explosives, and in the end he called it dynamite, which is from the ancient Greek for power, but dynamite is less likely to blow up while you're handling it.
Why did you want to blow up pretty Japanese girls?
Sorry?
Did you see the photograph? I mean, the picture.
Well, let's go back. Let's go back and have a look.
Yeah,
Is that not a geisha of some kind?
I'm going to guess that that's a mock-up for amusement purposes.
Oh, for today. Oh,
Yes.
it's not the original advertisement.
No, I don't think suggesting...
Well, the idea that someone would be, you know, flicking through What Quarry magazine.
Yeah.
This stuff looks... This looks pretty good.
Oh,
yeah.
that's a bit disappointing.
You'd have to have serious cellulite to want to put dynamite to it, I think.
The original Botox, yes.
That'd be
Some
quite
people will do anything. They sell embalming fluid. As a
I
beauty
know
cream.
that, actually.
Well, yeah, from your friends in the funeral business.
I was wondering what was keeping you looking so fresh.
He's got a bucket of it.
Yeah.
So he went on and called it dynamite, and then he made the even safer blasting gelatin, which is an explosive jelly, which is known as gelignite.
Well, isn't there the thing on him where there was a false obituary or a premature obituary?
Yeah.
Of his that basically said this guy was, you know, profited from death, and then he set up the Peace Prize.
So they say. Nobody can find such an obituary, so it may be maybe one of those things, those stories that...
In an old paper, who can be bothered to look?
But there's quite a lot of stories like that about him. So there's a story that there's no Nobel Maths Prize in order to punish all mathematicians because one of them had eloped with his wife. It's not true because...
Wasn't married?
Never got married. He had lots of long-term romantic relationships, but nobody left him for a mathematician. It isn't true. I mean, there's no Nobel Prize for maths because there wasn't any reason why there should be one. There's no Nobel Prize for PE or biology or geography. There isn't even, actually, a Nobel for economics. The Economics Nobel isn't a Nobel Prize. It's the Swedish bank, the Riksbank. They give it in memory of Alfred Nobel. So it's given at the same ceremony.
Is that a double negative and it is a Nobel Prize?
It isn't, because it's in memory of him, rather than it was one of the ones in which he founded.
Can I say, the way you share this information with us, I love hearing you just giving us facts. There's a kind of erotic charge in the room.
One day I'd turn. I never thought it'd be you, Giles.
I think it's just nice for you to be in a room that isn't full of coffins, isn't it?
Less funereal.
But soon, Giles, soon.
At which point we turn our attention deficit to that slush fund of negative knowledge, the general ignorance round. Fingers not unadjacent to buzzers, if you please. Name some common Egyptian characters. Egyptian. Oh, yes?
The Eye of Horus.
What are the chances?
I want to know why the Eye of Horus isn't a common Egyptian character.
Because it's a hieroglyph, and hieroglyphs were only used for special occasions.
Ah.
So they were not common. In
Well,
fact,
I think you'll find that there were many special occasions in Egyptian
yes.
life.
That's the point, isn't it?
The thing is, a normal everyday form of writing in Egyptian was hieratic. So it's a simplified version. It's a much more cursive version. Oh, there it is.
That's a rarefied klaxon.
Yes.
Frankly, Victoria, they've set you up there.
Yes,
I
I
do,
do.
yeah.
Can only describe it as a trap. So you have them on Early Connect, do you not? Hieroglyphs use them?
Yeah, we do.
Yes.
In our first series, it was Greek letters.
Right.
And people wrote in and said, we like the show, but we find that pretentious. So we began, I think, Series 3 with an apology, saying we'd like to say sorry to anyone that's been enjoying the show, but they found the Greek letters a bit pretentious. We've listened. It's your BBC. You reached out. We've heard you. Please choose your Egyptian hieroglyph.
Well, they're for special occasions, you see.
Yeah.
The thing is that they can have multiple meanings. So sometimes they just represent the thing they're drawing. So it could be a saw of some kind, it could be a tool of some kind, it could be something else. So the nose hieroglyph, for example, means smell or joy or contempt. But no vowels. Again, they're like the only connect thing you have around, don't you, with no vowels. There are no vowels in ancient Egyptian hieroglyphs, so we have no idea how it would have sounded. So King Ramesses could be King Ramesses. We don't know.
But that's impossible because, you know... Well, I suppose you can measure that vowels. Because when it comes to diction, vowels for volume,
right.
Consonants for clarity. As in the exercise that is performed by actors, you repeat the following. Hip bath, lavatory, lavatory, bidet, douche.
And that was the... Are these all things you're advertising? Tell us about your sponsorship, please.
People of your generation probably don't know what a bidet is, but they are all bathroom appliances of one kind or another.
That you're advertising.
Hip bath, lavatory, bidet, douche.
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 I didn't like the way you looked at me when you said douche. This goes out in America. That means something else there.
The average ancient Egyptian wrote not in hieroglyphics, but hieratics. Now, what would happen if you dropped a penny from the Empire State Building?
Oh, no, this is about killing people, isn't it?
OK.
Oh.
No, nothing. It wouldn't kill someone if
Yeah,
it...
it would not kill somebody.
Too light.
It's too light, absolutely.
Too light.
Yes.
To kill. It's like you could drop a duckling and it would float.
A duckling.
It's incredibly light, and also...
Duckling, wouldn't a duckling fly? Oh, because a duckling can't fly yet.
They can't fly, but they can fall out of nests and float to the ground.
Oh,
and you know
lovely.
how I know this?
Yes.
Because I had a roof terrace, I had a pond on it, and some ducks came, moved in, had ducklings, and they all threw themselves off the roof, which was 3 stories up.
Quickly say there's a happy
And I
ending.
ran down the stairs, and they were all wandering about in the car park.
Did they get hit by a car?
No, somebody rounded them up, put them in a box, and we took them back up the stairs, whereupon they did it again.
Yeah. Oh, no.
What was it about
So-
living with you that made them want to jump off a
Well,
roof?
that's just what they do. Because they're so light, they won't plummet to the ground
Well,
and
it's the
die.
same.
They'll
It's the
float.
same. It's the same with the coins. They're fantastically lightweight, and they also have too much air resistance.
But if you had a whole bag of them...
If you really, really wanted to kill somebody, that is perfectly possible. A pen would make it... I mean, that would drill a hole in your head. That is not a good
Bad
thing.
news.
But in fact, it's an academic question because the coins mostly don't hit the ground at all. What happens is the design and the height of the building creates so much strong updraft that the tossed coins tend to be pushed back towards the building and they land on the ledges and roofs of the lower floors, where the maintenance crew say, thank you, and collect them all up. Indeed. This is not connected really with the pennies, but can I just tell you about one of my favourite creatures in the world? It's called the hero ant, OK? It's a cliff-dwelling ant in Madagascar. Not a looker. Not a looker, I'll be honest. It's got the most fantastic way of removing predators from the nest. It grabs them and holds them and then jumps off the cliff. And then when it hits the bottom, it lands softly. And then it lets go and climbs back up to the cave. Don't you think that's fantastic?
That's fantastic.
I mean, you probably shouldn't try it with a home intruder.
No.
It's worth mentioning,
No,
but
or a
yeah, for
duckling.
safety.
A coin dropped from the Empire State Building would never reach the ground, and if it did, it wouldn't do any damage. And finally, a quick health check. Put your hand up if you haven't got hemorrhoids at the moment.
Put my hand up where? But when you're so gleeful.
Yes.
I've always got hemorrhoids. I've had hemorrhoids for about 25 years.
Really?
The thing is, everybody's got them. We're born with hemorrhoids. There isn't anybody who doesn't have them. They're cushions. They're sort of made of veins, which are normal part of the anatomy. It's a bit like your eyelids or your lips, possibly not quite so pretty. And they're there to stop the stools leaking out of your bottom.
They explained all this to me when I went to the audition for the job.
It's only when they become enlarged or inflamed that they cause problems, but we have them all the time. We all have hemorrhoids all the time.
Well, you know what? I think if we're going to... Should we go embarrassing bodies? Should we whip one out? So we've all got them at all times?
We do, but there's a myth that if you sit on a cold surface or conversely on a radiator, it causes piles. That's simply not true. And spicy food, not true.
What causes...
Well, there is another old wives' tale about reading on the loo can cause them. That may be true.
What do you have to read, though? Is it like a spell? Like an incantation?
No, it's sitting or standing for too long. It strains your rectum, is the thing.
Yes, you mustn't push.
No. No.
And also, never resist the cool to stool.
Is that another way of warming up for an actor?
Harry Hill told me that with his medical hat on. Oh, you must never resist the call to stool.
I like that. That's very good. They think Napoleon may have lost the Battle of Waterloo because he had a terrible attack of piles which made him not sleep the night before. He doesn't
well, and they captured the moment, didn't they?
That is a man with piles.
Yeah.
Most definitely.
It's the power of Instagram for you.
Your horse is ready. Oh. And David Livingstone thought to have died on the banks of the Zambezi from burst hemorrhoids.
If a hemorrhoid bursts in the forest...
It's lovely that we're at the hemorrhoid section of the show, anyway.
Yes, absolutely. So let's have a look at the scores. And in first place, with -1 point, it's Giles! In second place, with -5, Alan! Place with -8, Victoria! -21. To Victoria, Jimmy, Giles and Alan, and I'll leave you with this. In the 1950s, the American philosophy professor Sidney Morgan Besser went to a lecture by the English linguistics expert J.L. Austin, who claimed that while some languages use double negatives to make a positive, no language uses a double positive to make a negative. And from the back of the room came Morgan Besser's distinctive New York drawl, yeah, yeah. Good night.